All right, so back to the story. As I said, ever since high school or ever since college, even at the end of high school, I really wanted to get videos of when I was younger, but I was too afraid to ask anybody. I wanted to study the moves I did, studied all that stuff. But in my mind, I told myself, I'm going to be really big. I'm going to be famous. I thought I was going to be famous with rap music, but then I discovered the Quadra model. But I knew something big like that was going to happen. So I was like, once I get big and famous and get respected, then I'm going to ask people for the basketball videos. So I discovered the Quadra model. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do that. But my mom threw away my rap music, the raps I wrote. So, that was a hitch in the plans. But then I go to... I remember this was in college, and I asked I went to Hillel, and I talked to the rabbi there, and I told him I discovered the theory of everything. And in my mind, I didn't tell him this, but in my mind, and I wanted to insinuate it, I thought that I was a Messiah, and I still do think that I'm the Messiah. And that's not a delusion or anything, because really what it is that rabbis say that the Messiah is going to prove that that God controls everything, the Tetragrammaton. He's going to reveal the theory of everything. That's what I did. So I still think that. And I do still think that eventually the whole world is going to acknowledge I discovered the theory of everything, and I will be seen as the Messiah. That's what I think, and I think it should happen soon, hopefully. But I really wanted to get basketball videos when I was younger. So I went to the rabbi at Hillel, and I told him, like, okay, I want to go to Israel. And in my mind, I thought to myself, I will go to Israel, I will reveal the Quadra model, people will acknowledge I discovered the theory of everything. Then I will get power. But at the time I was a leftist, as I said. I wasn't a right-winger. I was a leftist. And I was kind of anti-religion. And I was anti-white. I was a communist Marxist. But I thought that that's the way that Jews were, because that's all the way all the Jews I knew growing up were. I didn't know about Orthodox Judaism. So this rabbi, though, he brought me on an Orthodox Jewish trip to Israel. So I go there thinking that I'm going to get power there, and I'm going to be a leftist. And I'm going to be... for like one world order, global race mixing, dissolve all the borders. And I showed the Quadra models, the theory of everything, and I dissolve all the borders and take down religion. And I thought I would probably create a forecast society and have all the races mixed. And I was a leftist, communist, Marxist. But that's the way I thought I would get power as well. And I wanted to get the power, and I wanted the basketball videos. So I want to get the power partly so that I can have an army behind me. And have a lot of respect. And I thought, okay, then I'll just ask everybody for basketball videos, and everybody will give them to me. And I'll have spies. I'll have people see where my basketball videos are. And if anybody lies to me, I'll have an army. I can arrest people. I can do what I need to do to get the basketball videos. That's the way that I saw it. And like I said, but as I said, my grandpa told me, like, he talked about the flow. And now I know. At the time I didn't know. I was trying to make things happen. I wasn't in the flow. If I was in the flow, I would have just asked people. But in my mind, I think, and again, look at what happened to me in high school. I was abused. I was physically abused by my dad, and it was because of the shoot away machine messing up my shot. And it's terrible, the abuse I underwent. And what's the worst part is my mom and dad don't believe it was abuse, because my mom, they don't know what happened. The people who abuse, they always will justify what they did. And in their minds, my mom thought that didn't think the shoot away messed up my shot. She thought that my shot just got messed up, and I was, and because I became mentally ill or whatever, and I couldn't shoot right, and then I got in fight. No, my dad abused me, and it was a tragic situation. It was because of the shoot away machine. Okay, and I'll get back into that, but so. And at this point, I discovered the theory of everything, and I showed my mom and dad the theory of everything. I never told them about the Messiah stuff. That was all the stuff I kept to myself. I just showed them the theory of everything. My mom's like, oh, you have schizophrenia. My dad's like, oh, you have schizophrenia. This is the delusion. No, I discovered the theory of everything. But my point is, I needed support. I had already been abused in high school. I needed support, but my mom and dad already hated me. They threw me to the side. I'll get more into this later. But they already had a hatred for me and a contempt for me due to the shoot away machine stuff that happened in high school. And I was abused. And I discovered the theory of everything, and they didn't believe it. And they threw me to the side even more. They thought that I had schizophrenia. They wanted me to take medicine. They wanted me to see a doctor. This was when I was in college. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree in college, but my mom didn't believe the Quadra model. Neither did my dad, and neither did my grandpa. So look at, I needed support. I needed some help. And I wanted to get the basketball videos, but again, because of the abuse, my grandpa said, no, never talk about the past, because if you're in the flow, you never bring up the past. So I wanted to bring up to my mom and dad about the shoot away machine, but I couldn't because I knew I wasn't allowed to talk about the past. That was like the big rule. So I never brought up the past. I never even brought the shoot away, but I wanted to tell them about it, but I knew that I couldn't. So I figured I'll get big, get the quadrant model out, then I'll get the basketball videos, and then I can show my mom and dad about what happened with the shoot away machine and all that. But anyways, my point is though, look at my situation. I discovered theory of everything. That's a lot of pressure I discovered it when I was 20 years old. I was a sophomore in college and I discovered the theory of everything. And I just came out of serious abuse in high school. And I discovered the theory of everything. That's a lot of pressure. And I need some support. Wouldn't a normal 20-year-old need some support? But instead of that, I come out of abuse, I discovered the theory of everything, and my mom and dad think I have schizophrenia when I showed them. For the first time, I showed them the quadrant model. And as I said, my dad visited me a couple times in college, my mom and dad, and they were perfect. Everything was perfectly fine when they visited me. Everything was normal. Even though I was abused in high school because of the basketball, I had let go of the basketball. Everything was normal. My dad and I were kind of getting along. Things were going okay. But then I showed them the quadrant model. My mom's like, oh, you have schizophrenia. My dad's like, oh, you have schizophrenia. So I tried to show them the stuff. My mom throws away my raps. I would have been a famous rapper. She threw away my raps. I lost about 30 basketball DVDs. And then, as I said, my sophomore year is when I discovered the swag flow when I was looking at videos. And I wanted to get more video. That's when I really wanted to get more videos of when I was younger. Really, like extremely. So I could study the swag flow, because then once I discovered it, then I lost it. I'm not going to get into details about what that is. But so, anyways, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll go to Israel. They'll acknowledge that I discovered the theory of everything. I will be seen as the Messiah. I will get an army behind me. But at the time, I was a leftist. And like I said, I wanted race mixing. I wanted to get rid of religion because I thought religion divided people. And I was like, the religion would be the quadrant model, but everything was seen as one, and we'll dissolve all borders. But really, because I saw myself as Jewish, I was anti-white. I was a Marxist. I wanted everybody to mix. So I thought that I would get in power that way. And then when I had an army behind me, then I would certainly be able to get my DVDs, and then I have power, respect, and I get the DVDs. But then, as I said, I went to Israel, but in Israel, I was with an Orthodox Jewish trip, and the Orthodox Jews were all right-wingers. And I was like, what? I thought all Jews were left-wingers, because that's the way all the Jews were when I grew up. So I was like, what? This is confusing. They're like complete right-wingers. I was like, these people are Nazis. They're like Nazi white supremacists. That's the way I saw it. So I was like, this isn't going to work out. So then I went back home, but that's when I started to try to get the quadrant model out. But the main reason I wanted to get the quadrant model out too was I wanted to get my basketball videos. But as I said, my mom had my password on the computer for my Facebook. So every time I would post quadrant model stuff, she would delete it, but I didn't even know that. So then I'm trying to get the quadrant model stuff out, but no one's responding, and I want to get my basketball videos. So I'm like, first I'll get the quadrant model big, get respect, and then I'll ask the people for the basketball videos. But my mom was deleting all my quadrant stuff. So then I go on INTP Central and I start sharing the quadrant model, and I'm telling them, hey guys, look at my Facebook and you'll see all the quadrant model stuff, and then you'll see that I'm telling the truth, that I discovered theory of everything. But they were looking at my Facebook and there was nothing on it. So like, is this guy schizophrenic? And they're asking that. So I'm like, what the fuck? But I didn't know that nobody could even look at my Facebook because my mom was deleting all my posts. I didn't know that she had my password, and my sister had my password too. And you can ask my mom. She was doing this. So then I start to try to get power instead of the quadrant model, because I'm like, no one's responding to the quadrant model. So I was like, so then I start to share my leftist ideas. And at the time, I thought that I had discovered a big theory with the Bible, that Jesus was really a communist, and that the Bible was really just an allegory of the destruction of the Roman Empire. So it was like an anti-white, communist, Marxist ideology that I had, because I wanted race mixing. I was anti-white. I was a Marxist. I saw myself as Jewish, and I was against the white people, right? But I still wanted to get power. But then I'm posting all my anti-religion, but I'm not explicitly anti-white, but it's anti-religion, anti-Christianity, and I'm posting all these ideas. But then I had asked some people for the basketball videos, but then they told me, oh, hey, Ryan, we don't have the basketball videos. So again, my grandpa would say, Ryan, this was your fear. And it was my fear. Instead of just asking people, hey, do you have the basketball videos? I was like, first I asked one of my coaches, I was like, can you ask the people for me? Because I was too afraid to ask them myself, because I was too afraid they would say no. Again, this is my fear. I was in fear. I thought that people would just say no. I thought that people would maybe not respect me and not want to give me the basketball videos, so they would lie and say, no, they don't have the basketball videos. So I thought, first I'm going to get power. But then I tried to scare the people into getting me the videos. So I tried to scare the people that I'm going to get power through my communism and through my quadrant model and stuff. And then I'll get the power. And so do not give me the basketball videos, because I'm a dangerous man. That's the way I wanted to project myself. Because again, my grandpa would say I was not in the flow. I was trying to make things happen. But again, put yourself in my shoes. I discovered the theory of everything. My mom and dad think I'm schizophrenic. I don't have any support. I'm fragile. I'm fragile at this point. I'd been abused for years in high school because of the shoot-away machine. I'm just coming out of terrible abuse. So I am in a state of fear. I do want my basketball videos. I am fragile at this point. This isn't, and I had lost the swag flow, and I wanted to get the swag flow again. And I figured the only way I could get the swag flow is if I studied the basketball videos. When I had the most swag flow in the world. I had fan clubs of girls. That's what my friend Ronaldo said. He said, Ryan, there's nobody who has more swag flow than you. Nobody who had more swag than you. So I'm wanting to get my basketball videos. But then I started asking people for the basketball videos, but they wouldn't respond. Right? Or they at first they said, okay, we'll get the basketball videos. But again, out of my fear, I tried to scare people and put all my stuff on Facebook, like how I'm going to be really powerful and my communist ideas that were anti-Bible, saying that the Bible was really just an allegory of the destruction of the Roman Empire by Jesus and he's really a communist and blah, blah, blah. And because I thought that this would make people scared that I'm going to get power, and then they would be more likely to give me the basketball videos. Again, I had this obsession to get the basketball videos. But then again, like it backfired. And that's what my grandpa says. My grandpa would talk about like the good you would, you do not, that which you would not, you end up doing. In my extreme desire to get the basketball videos, I ended up sabotaging it because I wanted it so bad. But again, put yourself in my shoes. I just came out of abuse. I don't have any support. My mom and dad think I'm schizophrenic, even though I discovered the theory of everything. I need support at this point. I discovered the theory of everything. That's a lot of pressure. At that point, I was 23 years old. I discovered the theory of everything when I was 20, coming out of terrible abuse by my mom and dad. Mental and emotional abuse. And I'll get more into that. And they're still abusing me by not believing me. And they're looking down upon me thinking that I'm schizophrenic when I wasn't. So yes, then I needed support, but I didn't. And my grandpa didn't believe the Quadrant model. And he's persecuting me. So I'm just being persecuted. But I want my basketball videos. So instead of just asking people, I was too afraid they would say no. Again, I came out of abuse. I thought that maybe my game got messed up. People might not respect me. They might say, I don't want to give you the basketball videos because they wouldn't want to go out of their way to do that for me. That's the way I saw it. So I was like, first I'll get the power. So then I'm trying to scare people into getting me the videos. But then even the ones who said that they had them, then they tell me, hey, Ryan, we actually don't have the videos. So then I'm like, damn it, I fucked it up. But again, also it was more complicated than that because what happened was I was posting my Quadrant model stuff, but my mom was deleting all of it. But then I started posting all the communist stuff. So again, if my mom and dad would have just supported me, all this crazy stuff wouldn't have happened. I was on Kauai as well. I was isolated. If I wasn't on Kauai and I was on the mainland, this stuff wouldn't have happened. I probably would have just asked people. I wouldn't have been writing all this stuff online on Facebook. I would have had some feedback that it was wrong. If my mom and dad would have just been talking to me, I wouldn't have been posting all this stuff. But again, I was isolated. I was thrown to the side. So, I'm trying to get the Quadrant model stuff out, but I'm isolated. I'm on Kauai. I'm with my grandpa who's persecuting me, my uncle. They didn't believe the Quadrant model. They're making fun of me. So, and my mom's deleting all my posts. So to try to get the Quadrant model stuff, I have like a sore throat. So, to try to get the Quadrant model stuff out, I'm trying to, but then my mom is deleting it, but I don't realize why I'm not getting feedback. I'm on Kauai. Again, if my family would have just talked to me, I wanted to talk to my mom about the Quadrant. I wanted to talk to them. And I asked my mom, can I please talk to dad? Can you have him help me get the basketball videos? I'm like, oh my God, you have schizophrenic. You're a loser. You still care about basketball. Get over the past. You're stuck in the past. This is why you have schizophrenia. If she would have just listened to me, I never had schizophrenia. My grandpa said I never had schizophrenia. The doctor who my mom forced me to see later said I don't have schizophrenia. If my mom and dad would have just listened to me and talked to me and been a little bit supportive, none of this stuff would have happened. So I'm stuck on Kauai. I want to get the basketball videos. I'm like, and I'm like, Mom, can I please talk to dad? He's never going to talk to you. Don't you remember how you treated him in high school? I'm like, Mom, this is the first time I ever told her about the shoot away. I'm like, Mom, it wasn't my fault. It was the shoot away machine. Mom's like, oh my God, you don't take responsibility for anything. Because she misuses my grandpa's teachings about taking responsibility. And my grandpa says, yes, she expresses predator-prey software, predator-prey orientation. So, if my mom and dad would have just listened to me, talked to me, but I'm thrown to the side. They hadn't talked to me since college when I showed them the Quadrant model. I'm isolated. I'm on Kauai. I discovered theory of everything. I need some support, but I have no support. And then my mom's deleting all my Quadrant model stuff. And then, so to try to get So, but then to try to get some attention for my stuff, I start to write my ideas that I discovered about the Bible, that it's just, there's an allegory of the destruction of the Roman Empire and all that stuff. But then, but I'm trying to scare people to give me the basketball videos, to show them, look how smart I am, look how powerful I am. But also, I was a leftist at the time too. And I wanted to get power through leftism. And I was still talking to rabbis, and I still wanted to go to Israel and get power as a communist. But, then as I said, I ended up changing to a right-winger. But at the time, I was anti-white communist leftist. But I just wanted to get my basketball videos. But then I'm writing all my ideas. But then my friends who told me they had basketball videos, who I was talking to when I was on Kauai, they're like, oh, Ryan, sorry, dude, I don't have the videos anymore. Something happened and blah, 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 right? So I'm like, damn it, I screwed it up. And my grandpa would say, I was not in the flow. In my fear, I tried to make things happen. I tried to manipulate things. But again, also, I want to give compassion to myself, because I look at it and I'm like, well, also, if I had some support from my family, if I had a little bit of love and encouragement, if I wasn't isolated on Kauai, then maybe I wouldn't have been in so much fear. Maybe I would have been more in the flow. But my grandpa was the one who was like, oh, make Ryan independent. What Ryan really wants is independence. And my mom and dad interpreted that as, oh, okay, make him independent. Yeah, get him out of our lives. Let's never talk to him again. But that just made me more isolated and more in fear. I didn't need independence, Grandpa. I needed help. I needed support. But my grandpa's like, oh, well, Ryan really wants his independence. He just wants to be independent so that he can, if he's independent and he has a job, then it will strengthen his ego, and then he will let go of the quadrant model. But I discovered the theory of everything. I didn't need to let go of the quadrant model. My grandpa's like, he will strengthen his ego, and then he will let go of the quadrant model. He thought it was a delusion. It wasn't. So, I needed support. So yes, I was manipulating things. I was trying to make things happen. It did backfire. The good I did not. That which I would not, I ended up doing. I wanted to get the basketball videos, and I sabotaged it. But, I could say, my grandpa would be like, yeah, you see, you weren't in the flow. But I will also say, well, Grandpa, you were the one who was trying to make me independent, and they forced me to live isolated on Kauai. If I wasn't isolated, if my mom and dad would have just talked to me, if I would have had some love and support after the abuse that I faced, then all that wouldn't have happened. But I was isolated on Kauai. I didn't have support. And yes, so I did manipulate things. I was probably fragile at the time. But my grandpa would be like, yeah, you were trying to manipulate things. You weren't in the flow. And then it backfired. Yes, I know that happened. But also, if you weren't the one who was like, oh, make Ryan independent, that's what Ryan really needs is independence, then maybe that would not have happened. If I had some support, if I was on the mainland, not isolated, then I wouldn't have been writing all this stuff online. And maybe all this stuff wouldn't have backfired. But anyways, it probably all happened for a reason. But my point is, I wanted to get the basketball videos. But then my friends were like, oh, actually, I don't have them anymore. So then then things got worse. And then I started to feel bad, because I was a communist Marxist for so long. And I was writing all my communist ideas, anti-religion, anti-Christianity, trying to say that Jesus was a communist and the Bible was just an allegory of the destruction of the Roman Empire, anti-white. Then I changed and I went to be pro-white, and I became while I was on Kauai, I became a right-winger, nationalist, basically a Nazi. So I switched. But at the same time, a part of the reason why I did that was because my friends told me, my black friends were like, hey, I don't have your basketball videos. Sorry, Ryan. Even though they originally said they did. So then I thought, okay, well, you're not going to give me the basketball videos. Well, then I will become the opposite. And I will become a right-winger extremist, and I'm going to get power. And when I have power, then I will get an army, and then I will get my basketball videos. When I have an army, I will get them. That's the way I saw it. So I switched, and I became a right-winger. And I was like, okay, you want to play games? I'm going to get my basketball videos, and I will do it through being a right-winger, nationalist. But also, at the same time, I did become a right-winger. Because my whole life I was leftist communist, but when I was on Kauai, I started studying all the right-wing stuff, and I was like, dude, my whole life has been a lie. And also, as I said, I was talking to the Orthodox rabbis, and they were teaching me, like, Ryan, the Bible's not communist. The Bible's not, your Marxist ideas are wrong. And I started to think, thinking to myself, my grandpa would teach me, he'd be like, yes, everything is one, everything's the flow. But I thought that my grandpa's spirituality was just white supremacy. But then I'm starting to think, my grandpa would teach, like, if you're not in the flow, when you die, you do go to a sort of hell, but it's not hell. It's just that it's like hell. It's just, it's the pain of trying to be released of the illusion of the separate body. So at the time, I'm like, damn it, maybe I will go to hell. And maybe my Marxism is evil. You know, maybe I am satanic. So I switched and I became a right winger, thinking that I was doing the right thing, becoming a right winger. So I did become a right winger. But then at the same time, I still wanted my basketball videos. So I'm like, okay, I'll become a right winger. I will get power in Israel through the religious route, being an Orthodox Jew. And then I will get an army. And then I will get my basketball videos. So I switched. That was when I was on Kauai. And then when I came back to Los Angeles, I was an extremist right winger. And I was going to do it that way. But then, as I said, my family tried to force me into a psych ward. And they ended up almost killing me. But I'll get more into that.